Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, with the return of Mom, who has just celebrated her 87th birthday. So happy birthday, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And we thought we'd do an interesting little genealogical discussion. As you all know by now, I was exposed to and got interested in classical music because Mom was exposed to and got interested in classical music. And so I thought we would take things back a generation or two and talk about how Mom got into classical music. But before we do that, it would be helpful to know a little bit of genealogy about where we came from, just to prove that if we could do it, once you hear where we came from, then anybody can do it. It's possible. For all you young'uns out there, don't worry. Believe me, it's all just out there for the taking, for the asking. So I think we'll start with Mom's mother's side of the family. Their last name was Plafker, Plafker. Any of you guys who know where the Plafkers came from, get in touch. We're trying to go back as far as we can. But we're well into the 19th century. They originated in a Polish village called Szadborz, except that in those days Poland wasn't Poland.
It was Austria.
It was Austria, yes?
Yes, all the paperwork, all their papers all say Austria.
We have passports from my great-great-grandparents, actually, yes?
Yes.
A passport.
With a picture of Franz Joseph.
Yes, he did not pose for the passport photo. He was just appeared on all of the passports. Yeah, they were subjects of Franz Joseph. And my great-grandfather, Israel Plafker, emigrated to this country, oh my goodness, around, what was it, 1905?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With his brothers.
With his brothers. And he was only about 19 at the time. And his father was a manager of a farm near the town of Szadborz. Right? And he left when he was quite young, 15 or 16.
All of the brothers left.
And he taught in a
yeshiva.
In a yeshiva.
Yeah.
For a few years before coming to the United States, which really was quite amazing, a brave thing to do at that age.
Well, unfortunately, none of the sisters came.
No, the sisters all died in the Holocaust.
Yes.
And the parents.
Yes.
Yeah. But the brothers were here, and he operated a store.
A grocery store.
A grocery store, mm-hmm. Which he had when you were young, right?
Yes, it was very, very nostalgic, thinking it had a big Coca-Cola cooler in the middle, and over the top there was fly paper going on a van, and had a cash register that did all kinds of things, and he had an area of it was for penny candy, which he gave away to all the kids that came in, and they sold kerosene. Unbelievable stuff in that store, and it was tiny.
Yeah, he started actually in Chester, Pennsylvania,
yes.
Which is where your mother was born.
Yes.
Right, and then wound up in Wilmington, Delaware, right. Mm-hmm. And not a very good area, right?
No, not at all. But interesting, very interesting, and it's still there. It's still there.
And I had the privilege of knowing my great-grandfather very well, actually, which was terrific. He passed away around 1976, I guess it was. He was 90. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was 90. And he married his first cousin.
Right. Malka,
who I'm named after, by the way.
Yeah.
David Melech.
Yeah.
Malka, my great-grandmother, who everybody was terrified of, apparently. She was 4 feet tall. And
drove a car.
Yeah. She drove?
Oh, scary. That's all everybody talked about was, don't get into a car with Grandma. She just, all those things like lights and signs, they were for other people.
Okay. Oh, and your father and your grandfather, Zeta, or my great-grandfather, drove in while he was blind.
No, he wasn't so blind.
He used the Braille method for parking, I understand.
Well, but he was older,
Yes, he was older. Anyway, so that's my mother's side of the family. And my mother's father's side of the family is where things really get interesting. They were from Riga, from Latvia?
Well, later. My grandfather escaped during the Japanese.
The Russo-Japanese
Japanese War.
He was a horse thief.
And he was a horse trader, according to my father.
Horse thief. He stole his captain's horse.
And he got off. Or you had to wait for somebody to die in order to get a gun. They gave you broomsticks to fight, and he didn't care for that. So he left by horse and got somehow or other to Riga.
Yeah.
Where he eventually married what he said was the most beautiful girl in the village.
To which we always said that must have been some scary village.
But he came by himself first to the United States.
If you ever met my great-grandmother,
right.
she was, yeah.
Anyway, he came by himself to the United States. Originally, yeah.
Originally?
And settled in Vineland, New Jersey.
Well, he was part of Baron de Hirsch's.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a story. Wait a minute, folks.
Yeah.
Baron de Hirsch, rich Jewish guy from France or someplace like that, decided that shtetl-bound, urbanized Jews would make fabulous strawberry farmers in New Jersey. It was an experiment that was doomed to failure.
Yeah.
But he bought the land and resettled a bunch of Jewish immigrants.
Three little villages.
Yeah. And one of them included
Rosenhain,
New Jersey, included my grandfather,
right?
The horse thief, and who I never knew. I
didn't either. He died the year before I was born.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. And you were born in 1939.
Right.
Okay. And but we knew great grandma.
Yes.
And who never learned to speak English.
Never
in
learned
75
to speak
years here or something like that.
Never. Nope. And it was painful trying to communicate with her, but somehow or other we did it. We used to have to go there every Sunday after dinner and see her for a few minutes. And we just mimicked things or said things, said yes or no. My sister and I, when we went alone, we would just say yes or no and then get out of there.
But my grandfather had two brothers and, 4 sisters? 5 sisters? 4, 5? A bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And they were butchers. They gave up strawberry farming, and they became Goldberg Brothers butchers.
Butchers, yeah.
The only kosher butcher in Wilmington, Delaware. In Delaware.
Yeah. They were the only wholesale kosher butcher in Delaware. Yeah, we had the cows.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so that is where our interest in classical music came from. Let's put it that way. Some of them from Poland or Austro-Hungary, and then the others from Latvia and Russia. So when you were growing up with that background,
yeah,
how did you encounter classical music?
I encountered music mostly because both of my parents did like music, and we had a radio, and we played it, and we played those things. But most of all, I had young uncles. They were 15 and 17 years older than I was, and I thought they knew everything. And they had records, and we played their records, some of which you probably ended up with. They eventually went off to World War II and came back really infused with love for culture. We were taken to like the Philadelphia Symphony and some smaller ones that were around the area.
Yeah.
And we really loved music. Was something we all had in common. We just loved it. And we appreciated it, and we talked about it. And they were very clever in that my parents were very willing to let me buy records and things. We certainly didn't have a lot of money, but we did eventually end up with a record player. And that's what we did for amusement. We sat in our sun porch. Every house in Delaware at that time had a sun porch. We sat on the sun porch with our record player. And that's what we did while I did homework or while I played games with my brothers and sisters. It was part of the background of our life.
It's actually very interesting, when you said that I might have gotten some of the records, because I remember very vividly Passover at Aunt Libby and Uncle Jack's house.
Yeah.
With our cousin Michael. And Michael was into Pink Floyd at the time, and I was going through Aunt Libby and Uncle Jack's records, and they had the Leonard Bernstein Vienna Philharmonic Das Lied von der Erde by Mahler.
Yeah.
And so we did a music swap. He played his Pink Floyd track, and I played Das Lied von der Erde, and that was really kind of cool because Pink Floyd. Well, I mean they were The Dark Side of the Moon's a classic, fabulous album.
He was a teenager.
He was a little older than me though. But yeah, but
Oh,
the
yeah,
cool
he's older, a lot older than you.
but the cool thing about it was that he would play a song and then I would play Der Abschied from Das Lied von der Erde, which is 32 minutes long. So it was like, my turn. And, he'd be like, when is this over? When is it going to stop? But yeah, I mean, those records were around. Your mother had records. And
I had a cousin who was very musical and ended up playing in the University of Oklahoma band.
Lynn,
yeah, she was very, very musical, loved music, took lessons all the time, and ended up in the band. That was her big thing, were her bandmates and her life in her band at the University of Oklahoma.
And when you went to college, you were in Boston, which was a great town for music.
In Boston, when I was in college, for $2, you could go to Symphony Hall. The lights were kept on a Tuesday night, and you could go to the symphony rehearsals, and that's what we did. And we thought it was the greatest deal in the world. Not that anybody really studied. You could take your books, you could do whatever other things. But for $2, you could go watch the Boston Symphony. What could be bad about that?
And that was in the 50s, right?
That was, yes.
When they had Charles Munch was the conductor.
Yes, he was the conductor. And sometimes there were artists that were there watching, people whose pieces were being played, which we were like astounded, but we'd look and see who was in the balcony watching with notes and things. It was fascinating. And that's what we did when we were, I wasn't every Tuesday night, obviously, but whenever it was available, my roommate Jeannie and I, that's what we did.
It's something orchestras should do now. I don't think they do anymore. I don't think they don't usually have open rehearsals. And they don't have student
No, I'm sure they
admissions.
don't. I always wanted to go to the Boston Pops and sit at one of the tables and be served and all that sort of stuff. But in 5 years in Boston, I never got there. No. It was when I married your father also, he loved that music. Mm-hmm. And he loved the whole idea of it. So we were in Boston for 5 years and availed ourselves of the symphony. We always went to the 4th of July thing on the Esplanade. We always went to that. Yeah, I mean, it was just fun.
Well, we did that when I was a little young. We went to Tanglewood a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
And we did 4th of July at Tanglewood.
Yeah.
With the 1812 overture and the cannon, real cannon blowing up outside.
Well, your father and I really were. He was in law school. I was still in undergraduate school for part of the time, and so we didn't have very much money. Anything that was free, we went to. And that was where, we had music.
And ball games.
Well, we did go, yes, we lived down the street from Boston.
Fenway
Park. And after the sixth, seventh inning, you could go free. And sometimes we would go. And one time we saw a 16-inning game. So we really got no money's worth, but we went.
I don't know if I'm right, but it seems to me that back then the culture was a little bit different when it came to the arts. There was a sort of a desire to make it accessible to everybody, to just let people come if they felt like going and make it possible.
I think you're right. I think that was that way. I think that was that way also in Wilmington, because there were a lot of things. We had the flower market every year, had this big thing, and part of it was music, and you could go. It was free. Yeah.
I mean, they have concerts in the park in Central Park in New York in the summer and things. They still have these summer things, but there was maybe it was because so much of the immigrant community in those days came from Europe.
Maybe.
And they had maybe more of a view of that kind of culture. I don't know. I don't know. But I didn't ever have the opportunity to go see free rehearsals of anything.
Yeah, well, the best part of all things like getting my records and things like that were things, a lot of it I got from my uncles, because they had been in Europe until 45. Actually, Nate was there until 46. Yeah. And they came home with all this stuff. And we would talk about it. And we would, sing to it. And... it was part of my life. By that time, I was 7 or 8 years old. Mm. And, and I adored my uncles. So it was fun. Actually, my other uncles, too. Uncle Charlie used to take me places that were
Uncle Charlie,
musical.
who had the banjo.
He had a banjo.
He had a banjo, which my Aunt Ida insisted I learn how to play.
Well, and he left it to me.
Yes.
And he took me also to things that were musical. And he also would sit and play the banjo, and the kids and everybody, even my grandchildren today, have the banjo
We still
because
have the
they
banjo.
insist. Yeah, they have the banjo. So Uncle Charlie's banjo. So one of my grandsons was going to learn it. He didn't do it.
Well, everyone has a moment in their life where they decide they're going to learn a musical instrument.
He was going to learn the banjo, so I gave him the banjo, and it's still here.
Oh, we still have it?
It's
You have it?
across the street.
Across the street? Oh,
You
great.
can cross the street and play.
Go
Or
find
it's
Uncle
probably
Charlie's
in my
banjo.
cellar. It's probably
Yeah.
in the cellar here. Yeah, it's here. We didn't part with it.
So you were from a resoundingly lower middle class background, probably. right?
Absolutely. I mean, my parents, we ended up having, what the American dream. We had a lovely home. I had my own bedroom in a house, I went to a wonderful public school. I will say this. I did go to an unbelievably good public school. And we had a lot of very, very nice. My school, by the way, had an orchestra pit. Had a beautiful, beautiful auditorium, and it had a complete orchestra pit, and there was an orchestra in the school. I did play the piano a little bit when I was in elementary school.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Your illustrious career as a concert pianist.
It was short. Yeah. I couldn't kind of keep up.
It was almost as good as my career as a pianist. We have a long history in our family of almost learning to play instruments.
Almost, yeah. But still, we all love the music. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's wonderful. That tells us. I mean, I just wanted to make the point because people ask me, how I got into it and from where, and I say,
Well,
my mom.
you always loved it.
Yeah.
You were always looking through the record collections wherever we went, picking things out. And also, he was very good at interpreting what he was listening to. That was the point. Because I started out with him saying, shut your eyes and tell me what you see, because I used to think I was going to get him to go to sleep at a reasonable hour. And it worked on him, not so much on my other children, but it worked pretty well on him. I'd say, here, put this on and listen to it. Tell me what you see. What does it make you think of? And how beautiful can it be? And how much fun can it be, depending on what we were listening to? In the Hall of the Mountain King.
Oh, God, I love that. Oh, I loved In the Hall of the Mountain King.
And he loved some of it more than others, and I would play it and send him into his room with more of them. And he would come out and say, can I have another one? Can I listen to something else? And I would go through my collection. And then in those days also, as I said, there was a lot of music on the radio.
Yeah.
And we played the radio everywhere. And so there was always music on somewhere, even if we didn't have a lot of record players.
Well, we've talked about a lot, on the channel about how people first encounter classical music that way. It's just fed to you through the culture, through cartoons.
Yes.
And the soundtracks that accompany cartoons. And I remember when I was young, you used to sing. You used to hum or sing. Some of the great classics that Tonight We Love was Tchaikovsky's
because in college
piano concerto.
Well, in
This
college,
is the Story of a Starry Night was Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony and Full Moon and Empty Arms.
Full Moon and Empty, and and the sorority song Sigma Pi Sigma.
That's Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony.
Yeah,
your sorority song.
But that was the way they taught classical music in college. And my roommates would come by singing all these things, and I would go, I know what that is, because I have that record. And I've heard it all my life. But everybody would sing, this is the Fifth, Beethoven's Fifth.
Right.
Yeah. And you go, oh my God, you people, you don't know what you're doing.
This is Bolero by Ravel,
Yeah. Yeah, and they would be singing all this stuff too, and I would sit there and laugh. But it was part of our lives. And that's what music should be.
Yeah, I think you're right. So if it worked for us, it could work for anybody. It's just a really comes to having the music in the air and having the opportunity and the exposure. It doesn't really take much effort because the music kind of sells itself, doesn't it?
And you don't have to be doing a lot of other things. You can enjoy it. You can go for a walk and listen.
Yeah.
You can do your homework and listen like I did in college. You can do a lot of things, and it's just there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, Mom.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Take care. We'll see you soon. And keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me.